Hi guys, welcome to Sosin classes. This is Hima Hegde presenting before you a video series on Anthropology current affairs. Here on screen are newspaper articles related to the Kattunayakan community. Tribal women start cooperative unit to market forest produce in Tamil Nadu's Nilgiris. The men in the tribal community extracted honey and the women procure it from them for sale. They have been selling 4 varieties of honey for a fair price. A tribal women-led initiative to ensure fair price for forest produce. Now the Nelakottai Kattunayakan women's cottage industry was officially inaugurated by officials from the revenue department. A total of 21 community members, including 12 women, have been working in the co-op collecting wild honey from 3 villages. Now men, as told earlier, from the tribal community, extract the honey which the women procure from them to sell. The members of this community are peculiar. There are peculiar features that can be used to describe. So, the members here are short, have black skin, and have protruding foreheads. Hunting and collecting forest produce are the two main means of living for the tribe. They rarely mix with other tribes and still follow black magic and sorcery. They speak a language which is a mixture of Dravidian languages. Kattunayakans are known for their expertise in honey collection. Kattunayakan is one of the tribes who had been the true inhabitants of forests. As the name indicates, they were once the kings of jungles. They rarely mix with other tribes. They are completely dependent on forest and forest products and subsist on honey, roots and barks of the plants and what small animals that they trap. They are also known as the Kurumas as they collect honey from the forest. They follow a religion which is strongly rooted in their culture and worship. They worship animals, birds, trees, rocks and snakes and almost everything natural. They also worship their ancestors. The physical features of hill tribes are very obvious in them, and the language is a mixture of all Dravidian languages, or most of them. The Kattunayakan community is found nowadays in Wayanad, Kozhikode, and Malappuram districts. While they are called Kattunayakan in Wayanad, those belonging to the interiors of Nilambur of Malappuram district are called Chola Nayakan, and those who live in the plains of Malappuram district are called Patinayakans. The next topic for the day is Waghoba. The Adivasis of Mumbai are indigenous communities belonging to various tribes like Warlis, Kolis, Dubas, and others. They have a deep rooted connection with nature. In Mumbai, they live in tiny hamlets called padas, primarily in and around the forested patches like the Sanjay Gandhi National Park. Leopards roam wild in such places, but these people hardly complain. On the contrary, they take pride in living with the predators. The worship of the Wagoba and other elements of nature is not limited to the Adivasis of Mumbai but is more widespread. A study published in the Frontiers in Conservation Science in 2021 documented over 150 shrines dedicated to the Wagoba villages of the Wali tribals in Mumbai and other parts of the state of Maharashtra. The study discovered that the origin of the institution of the Wagoba is rooted in what today's modern conservation science terms as human wildlife conflict and livestock depredation by big cats. Although the origin story has many variants, most depict Wagoba as someone born human. With time, the Wagoba exhibited traits of the Wag or the tiger or leopard and killed village livestock. This is the story. The frightened villagers wanted to kill Vagoba, but his mother negotiated a deal with them. According to the agreement, the Vagoba would stay in the forest and not kill livestock. In exchange, the people would worship the Vagoba in Vagoba shrines and make occasional offerings to him in the form of animal sacrifices to appease him. Thus, according to the researchers, the Vagoba's origin story itself instills a feeling of kinship with the big cats in the hearts of the Vagoba worshippers. And the institution of the Vagoba acts as a tolerance building mechanism, allowing people to share space with the apex predators like tigers and leopards. India has been practicing conservation through its culture for thousands of years. Cultural institutions like Wagoba worship have served as the driving force behind deep-rooted conservation movement prevalent in the country. Ancient Indian scriptures depict animals as gods. Animals ranging from elephants and tigers to ants and rats are worshipped in the country. Such reverence for animals acts as a catalyst in safeguarding our ecosystems and wildlife. According to Dr. Andheria, it is more important now than ever before to recognize people's cultural affiliations before they disappear in an era of consumerism and globalization, snapping their connection with nature. The bonding between people and nature has to be preserved this and rejuvenated. He also believes that the engagement of local communities is vital to further conservation goals in India. In the last 5 decades, conservation in India has mostly focused on protecting forested landscapes from people. However, only around 5% of the country's area could be protected that way. Protection now needs to be community managed. Conservation conversations should include the local communities and their opinions. An integrated approach has to be followed in the conservation programs. So that's about it. The next topic for today is genetics and sugar. Why do we love sugar so much? Here is a genetic connection to your sweet addiction. A fundamental challenge for our ancient ancestors was getting enough to eat. The basic activities of day to day life, such as raising the young, finding shelter, and securing enough food, all required energy in form of calories. Individuals more proficient at garnering calories tended to be more successful at all tasks. They survived longer and had more surviving children. They had greater fitness, and in terms of evolution, basically, they had greater fitness in evolutionary terms. This ability allowed them to assess calorie content with a quick taste before investing a lot of effort in gathering, processing, and eating the items. Detecting sweetness helped early humans gather plenty of calories with less effort. Rather than browsing randomly, they could target their efforts, improving their evolutionary success. Speaking of sweet taste genes, the sweet detecting cells produce a receptor protein called TAS1R2 or 3, which detects sugars. When it does, it sends a neutral signal to the brain for processing. This message is how you perceive the sweetness in a food you have eaten. Genes encode the instructions for how to make every protein in the body. The sugar detecting receptor protein, that is TAS1R2 or 3, is encoded by a pair of genes on chromosome 1 of the human genome, conveniently named TAS1R2 and TAS1R3. Genes with important functions are kept intact by natural selections, while genes without a vital job tend to decay and sometimes disappear completely as the species evolve. Think of natural selection example and Lamarckism example in contemporary times. The use it or lose it theory also explains the remarkable discovery that animal species that don't encounter sugars in their typical diets have lost their ability to perceive it. For example, many carnivores who benefit little from perceiving sugars harbor only broken down relics of TAS1 R2.
So that is it for today. Hope you found it informative. Thank you.